Hey, how's everybody doing? Welcome to Talking Shit. Your boy Sophisticated Jerk, M3 in here, and Stan up in the building. So before we jump into these topics, man, how's everybody doing?
Doing good.
Stan, you getting ready for that vacation, huh?
Man, I only got a vacation. I got this. I've been getting hit on by everybody. I'm like, oh, thank you, ladies.
Would they be playing all in your hair and stuff, man?
Yeah, it's real. We ain't get this from Tumu.
Oh,
so this is a real thing. It grows.
I heard you got lace fronts.
Huh?
Somebody said those were lace fronts.
They try to look at it. I'm like, nah, this is real. No extensions. This is all my hair. Also M3. SJ, you next, man. We got to get you girls. You're out, man. You got.
I can't do it, man. I just like the short stuff too much. But man, shout out to y'all, man. Holding brothers down. Yeah, y'all got y'all full natural and shit. Yeah.
It's 6 months later. He's gonna have a long ass ponytail in the back, though. Watch. I'll tell you.
I might have that Sergio, that Fabio shit, ponytail and stuff.
Next time we see him, he's like, no, my name is Sophisticated Jerk.
But all right, man, we'll go ahead and jump into the topics today because, yeah, we got some pretty, I'll say, good topics today. So the first clip that we're going to review is the one where it's called Madame Noir. And then it's like what's that place they send the old folks? Nursing home. This is like a nursing home for like washed up chicks, rappers, video vixens. I don't know who the lady was that like short haircuts, dyed blue, blonde. Pretty sad sight, but I mean, we're gonna review this clip, man. Okay. What would you say to them three?
No, I said they actually have a retirement home for those people.
Obviously, it's at a goddamn podcast because shit, they were like, "Look, girl, you lost your job and you ain't had a man in 5 years. Oh yeah, come on up here. Let's spit your venom on this microphone." So yeah, it was
okay.
Oh, your rap career ain't get popping? Oh yeah, come on over here to this podcast. Oh, you girl, you mad at all, man? Shit, come on over here. So yeah, it's like a retirement home for like has-been females that didn't get it right in life. So they mic'd them up and goddamn it, they're like YouTube gold now though.
Okay. The views of SJ is not representative.
Nah, man, we got to start saying this, man, because it's becoming sad now. It's like, damn, like I could get when people talk about behaviors, but these crazy expectations and stuff from some people, it's like, Jesus, man. Like, I'm just glad as men we had to face that rejection early in life, where it just like level set us to know where we properly stand and what we should be expecting in life. Like, because there's no way in hell I want to be like 40 something delusional. But yeah, let me go ahead and play this clip because yeah, I saw this. I was like, God damn, we gotta definitely touch this one. But y'all let me know whenever y'all want me to stop and stuff.
Okay.
And it's probably because I never really saw myself as, being a mom. Like I've been secretly okay with it, but I felt ashamed to actually admit that. Well.
That's what the podcast called, Listening to Black Women?
Yeah. Yeah, that's the name of this one. But I saw the channel was like Madame Noir or something like that.
Listen to Black Women. I'm L'Oreal, and I'm joined by a whole lot of fun, okay? My ladies here are always going to keep it real, hold it down, and be unapologetically Black, of course. Now let's start with my girl Jessie Woo right here.
Having the freedom to be who I want to be is having it all.
Danielle Young.
We've gotten to such a privilege of being able to shift the narrative of what womanhood looks like.
Melissa Ford.
We're the rich auntie uncle. Yeah. That's me.
And of course, Tori Hart.
I ended up raising my kids by myself. So you never know how it's going to play out.
Ladies, we're definitely going to need some champagne.
Yeah, so
can I ask you a question?
Oh, go ahead, man.
No, I'll let you go first.
Yeah, so I was gonna say L'Oreal, she was like a female rapper, she used to rap back in the day, didn't really pop. And then I know one of her friends was like had to tell one of those tell-all books, like kind of throwing her on the bus, talking about like she slept with all these rappers and all these different guys. So yeah, I think her name was like Winter Ramos or something. then of course, Melissa Ford, man, she's video vixen. I think Cam was like, "Hey, you keep talking mess, I'm gonna tell what happened in that." What I seen you doing on video shoots. So yeah, I don't know who this one is in the middle, but she was like the most vocal.
Okay.
And Jessie Wu is she's a comedian / Haitian comedian from Miami.
Oh, okay.
Some of the big ones?
Not Real Housewife, Love and Hip Hop Miami.
Oh, you talking about the fat lady, right?
No, next to her.
No, Jessie Wu, right
Jessie.
here.
And then the other one, Miss Hart, that's Kevin Hart's ex-wife.
Right. Okay. Do you think Kevin kind of made a good choice by like leaving her in some cases?
You know what? We don't know what goes on in relationships, and sometimes it's just none of our business.
Fair enough.
But until
I never heard her speak. Like if she says like some I say self, because I never really heard her. She kind of played the background, but I mean, if she's on some self-centered stuff, then you could probably like extrapolate from that. Be like, yeah, you know what? He probably dodged a bullet.
Yeah, and the reason I say that M3 because the kids haven't aged out of child support yet, and then once that's done, here come the tell-all books.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I just never really seen her around to kind of make that assessment yet. But I mean, if she's on this panel, there's probably a good chance that she's aligned with their views. Yeah, he dodged the bullet. I can say that. But I think it's a fair question. Shit, if you put yourself out in public, man, we could dissect it. So I'm with. But all right, let me get back to the video.
For this one, so let's take a little toast. Cheers. Because we're talking all about the modern day woman. But like even before we get into that, I have a bone to pick. Okay, Melissa.
Yeah,
I fell for you, girl. Joe Budden. I heard he had a lot to say about listen to Black women or Black. What was it?
They came up with a couple of quips and funny little names for the show to, I guess, highlight that I was on a couple of episodes.
Recognizing.
Cheers.
Now let's cheers again for that one.
Oh my God! Cheers to that, friend.
Shout out to our brothers for listening to Black men. Mm-hmm. They come over here. Sometimes they got to check us. Sometimes we got to check them. Mm-hmm. It's an understanding. We have mutual respect. Never called each other out each other's name. Mm-hmm. I just felt for you because I know the type of person you are. I know you're a very smart, beautiful woman. And sometimes it's cringy and hard to watch. To see a man like him try to act like your opinion, that is not valued like it is over here. Because, we value you.
Thank you. It's definitely a situation where, I feel like an interloper. You know what I mean? Like it was very much a man cave before I came along. There was quite a demand to interject a woman's point of view because it was so guy.
Speaking of something else that just makes no damn sense to me. Jonathan Majors. Right?
Oh, Lord.
Numerous times he has said that he's looking for his Coretta Scott. Would you consider yourself a Coretta Scott, ladies?
I think people often forget that Coretta Scott King is and was an activist. Mm-hmm. And I find it very weird that after you get caught up with beating on a white woman, and in the midst of trying to rebrand, you go and you get Megan Coretta Scott King.
Because guess where you ain't gonna find Coretta.
And while I love her too, I have to be honest. This man is going to a Black woman to rebrand.
But they still together.
Yeah.
And he got found guilty. They still together. So maybe they might be in love.
Megan is a treasure in our community, which is why a lot of people were like, girl, no.
Yeah.
Because like.
Is Megan Good a treasure?
No, but I'll say it like this though. Megan Good does have a good heart. She because here's the thing, she could have followed the sisterhood and remained single, but she chose not to. She saw the opportunity, and just like how I feel like any woman or man should, but we're just going to be talking about women. Any woman should. You see a guy that still has potential, have faith that he's going to rise back up without betraying you or going back to, Becky or whatever. So I think she made a smart move by still investing into that relationship. And you know, these was it 5 women or whatever that's sitting on this panel or whatever, they don't have a man. So of course they're gonna hate, they're gonna talk, put some shade into it, and they're gonna make it seem like that Megan Good is really what do these women usually say? Like when you're getting with a homosexual, it's like you're
He's
going down the
broken.
bottom.
Oh, settling and shit.
He's settling, yeah. So they're trying to make her feel bad that she's settling. But then here's the thing. Now, if she listened to the sisterhood and let's say she dumps Jonathan Majors, who else she's gonna find? Because after when Devon Franklin, divorced her, that kind of put a sting on her right at that moment in time. What other guy in a high caliber will actually want Megan Good? Not to say she's a bad person, but she's been all around.
Yep. Yeah. And she got like a 25-year-old rapper that wasn't, he ain't put nothing out, but that was like, yo. I'm going to call cap on the ladies because of that statement about Jonathan Majors, because isn't there like a woman who was on like, I forgot the Bachelorette, who divorced her white husband, who like getting allegedly 16,000 a month. And even on her podcast, she even said, like, you know what? I don't want to date a white man. I'm looking for a brother. I need a break. And then you also had Holly Berry, who dealt with 2 white men, had their babies, and she paying child support. And who she dating now? A brother. So, like, turnabout is fair play, whatever it is. But, like, yo, like, you can't sit down and control what someone's date after their experience with another race. If they feel like, yo, I just need something or something familiar, they have the right to do that. And the person who they with, just like, okay, let's go ahead and let's see if it's going to work out. That's between them two.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I just think, man, in 2024, man, so people just don't give a fuck about the race shit. And I get it from the outside looking in, they're like, oh, well, he's coming back and trying to, clean up his thing with his sister. Man, I just think women just do not understand guys, where we're just like, say, like when you go through a situation, the first person that kind of comes up there genuine and as supportive of you after you go through a hardship, man, you're just gonna be appreciative of that person kind of coming in. So if she was like whatever race, if she was just a good person, man, you're just gonna like kind of gravitate to that, So I think people think shit sometimes, and they just hone in on the part that they can kind of see, but it's just like, nah, shit. He was getting tore up in the media, rightfully so, with the whole stuff coming out, lost his roles. And if she came there and was supportive, like, what do you want him to do? Go bash her in the public? Like he should be grateful that she came over there and say kind words and stuff. It's not like he was trying to clean up his act on her, but he was, they just aligned for whatever reason. And I don't think it was just because she was a sister. It's because she looked good, like.
Oh, yeah, that too. But you gotta look at it, SJ, like after sometimes like that, what happened to him, right? He didn't do anything wrong, and to be arrested and to lose roles. I mean, like, and sometimes you really do have to look at race, because like, yo, like I've did everything I'm supposed to do. I kept away from her and I still got in trouble. Like, yo, if he gonna take a break, just like the other woman, the sister, who like, you know what, this man is taking me to the cleaners. I have to pay, this amount of money. Let me go back to dating a brother or something I'm familiar with. I think we do have to not be into this whole thing, love is blind, colorblind. Like, yo, there is something about culture that's something about like, yo, let me go back to something I know about for sure, as opposed to like, I already tried it, I just need something familiar.
Stan, I just don't think that shit is it, man. I think if you have that mindset, you stay over there. But most people, I just think, man, they just align off a character after a while, man. I think you just kind of grow up and you're just like, man, if you just base it off attraction. So if you see an attractive person, man, and they like got the right things, you're gonna go, man. Because I just think, like, when you look at the numbers, most people only deal with themselves, their own group. it's like at a high rate, and most people divorce themselves. So that's what I'm saying. I just think that guys are a little more. If you look at the numbers, guys will date out more. It's not because like they have this fascination. I mean, you have them small population of people that might be fixated on something, but for the most part, a dude is just like, she's attractive, she's receptive to me. I'm gonna rock with who likes me. I think it's just that simple, man. Honestly, for the majority. Like, do you have some cases like you're saying? Yeah, obviously, you know, you can never say never, but I just don't think like most guys are like that. But like you said, sometimes there is some familiarity, but I think it's more proximity, honestly. Like,
I mean, if that's the case, then it's more like based off the culture more than just the race. Like, I mean, for me, like, I mean, back then, like, I used to have like this you know, this pro-black attitude, but that's only because like all I saw was like black women, and then all I saw at the time, well, all I heard was at the time was about black people and to be united, stick with your own kind and all that. But over time, it's like, you know, you start to kind of see like, you know, the person for like who they are versus like the color of the skin. And I feel like I always get tired like when I'm hearing like women, they criticize men because like they date like white or they date somebody else, and then they want to try to dig deep into like the psychology of why these successful men keep going after these white women and all that. But then at the same time, look at you guys, like you guys are talking bad about John and his relationship making good. So so if we want to get to race, when brothers they hear that, they're like, well, see, like these women, they shame us when we go after white or Latino or anyone else but black. But then it's like when we're down on our feet, now they want to judge us and now they want to criticize us because they feel like we have nothing to offer. And that's the conundrum that I don't even think they really realize what they're really getting themselves into whenever they start opening their mouth.
But what was you about to say, Stan?
I was going to say, I agree with M3. They don't care. I also want to add something on when they talk about Joe Button, Melissa Ford, and like feeling like it's a man cave. I'm like, yo, it is. They open the door, sit down and talk and share your perspective, which she has. And she's been there for 2 years. And, you know, that's what it is. It's Joe Button podcast. And you somebody on the panel. You can't go in here and think you're going to clear out their house. People come on there because they want to hear what Joe Button and guys have to say and what you have to say too. So for the ladies to sit down and think like they want to go over there, and I'm like, yo, like you guys already had a voice. I think that's the whole thing. Like the male voice is like, you know, everybody wants to hear the male voice because it's so rare. Like nobody ever heard men talk as much as before. Everybody talks about men, but nobody heard from men. And for them to sit in the panel to feel like, you know, they just talking BS, I'm just like, yo, that's not okay. Because ladies, you guys been talking quite a few decades or centuries, and we listen. So let the men have their voice, and you know, and just listen, not criticize. That's all.
Yeah, no. And I think the biggest thing with them, because Joe was clowning them kind of like we was in the beginning of the show, where they took it a little personal, and it's just like you said, it's like, man, guys are, you know, we're starting to kind of be vocal about certain things, and I think it's a point, man, where instead of pushing back, if I was a female, I'd be like, damn, okay, you know what? Let me take some notes so I can separate myself from the group, because it's like, you know, I just think they go to like a fight mode too much, and you know, like they want to start canceling stuff. It's just like, man, let people vent, man. Like, y'all say y'all like communication. Well, this is a form of it. Like, let people get that stuff out, and man, maybe you could like you could pivot a little bit. I'm not saying go and kiss somebody's ass, but you know, there's some nuggets. If you hear certain things consistently on various podcasts, like obviously there's a pattern to it. Everybody can't be wrong. But they'll rather just like you said, kind of silence everybody and shut people down, and so you know they could kind of tone police shit. So that's why I see a lot of.
And she don't understand, like Melissa Ford don't understand, like the talks that Joe Budden have with his crew, and for us too, is the same talks that we'll have at a barbershop.
Oh yeah, behind the scenes. But that's what's the funny thing, because I was even telling I forgot who I was talking to. It was a female, and I was just like, y'all really are kind of just starting to show that y'all don't like the truth. Like y'all would rather like, deal with ignorance. Because I think they want to operate in the ignorance so that it gives them the capability to have excuses. Because it's like if we keep on with all this and they understand the truth, then they will have to accept the accountability. But it's like when they operate in ignorance, it's always like, well, I didn't know, I was manipulated. Oh, I didn't know this. I didn't have the knowledge on that. So it's just like, I think that's where they really want to operate in that gray area, because it's just like, hey, if I do what I want to, don't work out, I could blame this person or the gender. But so that's why I think they want to silence a lot of stuff. Because when I be telling people the truth, I'm like, hey man, y'all just don't like the truth. I say it in a good, I'm pretty calm and stoic with it. It's like y'all still don't really want to hear it. So when they be like, oh, it's y'all tone, it's like, nah, y'all just don't want to hear this shit. All right, let me get back to this video though. Oh yeah, they lost me though with that what's her name is the treasurer of the definitely a good person. It seemed like, yeah, Megan Good. I'm like, I don't know about that treasure shit.
We hold you up here. I was stupid as hell. Let me tell you something. I was on air like, ain't no damn way Megan is dating this man.
And let me make something else clear too. It wasn't that Black people weren't supporting him. His most viral cover was the ebony cover.
Well, I want to go back to the Coretta Scott of it all, because even in that little speech, hearing the audio that he was giving to Grace and telling her, I'm a great man, and I'm like, don't you know who I am? He was comparing himself to Martin, and it's like you're trying to get a first lady, essentially.
I watched a lot of the trial. I read the transcripts. There were a lot of times when he was asking that white woman to save him by not saying anything, by staying quiet.
Exactly.
Right?
I've been in an abusive relationship and I've chased his ass.
Okay.
And he's whooped my ass and stomped me down to the ground. And I had 2 black eyes. And I couldn't come outside for months.
Literally.
And that man, people was defending him, and people were saying that this is a good man. This is my guy. He's a good guy. And imagine being that woman, white, black, I don't care what color you are, and he whooped on your ass, and everybody's telling you you're lying because you chased him in one video.
Right. Well, you know what? We don't know. We don't know. Yeah, we don't know.
They stopped that real quick. What was that?
Pause, because that's not fair. It was alleged. He did not abuse her, also alleged. So, like, I understand one thing, if you've gone through it, then keep it there. But to say that he's gone through it and that he is, that's not true. And also, she dropped her side because, he didn't want to carry through. So that's something else that's going on. But to go ahead and push a narrative that's saying that he's an abuser, that's not okay. So I'm not okay with that type of stuff. It wasn't proven. It's not proven. Feel sorry for her that she's gone through what she's gone through, but you cannot say that it's the same situation as yours because you're not there. It's not documented, and that's it. So everything is alleged.
Oh yeah, facts. It's like, man, we got a legal system, man. You gotta let it play out. Like you said, if you're not there, man, you don't got no inside facts, and people weren't on the scene putting out like cops or something putting out like stuff that could be verified. It's like, man, you just got to let that play out. I see too many people jump on sides, and it's just like, man, that's why a lot of times I don't cover certain things until like they put the facts out about the situation, because it's just like, I'm not gonna sit there and be biased with people's lives on either side, whether it's the female or the guy, because like you said, it's like, say you're wrong and you're out here crucifying somebody, it's like, man, you're gonna have to put out a recant statement. You should, if you're a good person. But I see so many people do that and jump on that bandwagon, and it could go either way and stuff, because there's people that lie on both sides. So it's just like you said, Stan, let that play out. But go ahead, M3.
No, I was gonna say, man, it's just a case of a whole bunch of women that just went through like a lot of hardship, and they're just bitter. That's all it's just to it. So you have a group of bitter women still not letting go of the past. And my question is that what do each individual really have to offer without sex?
I mean, I don't know them. like you said, I mean, they just have bitterness. So I mean, that's the bad thing when people's, and that's what I was saying in the beginning. Like L'Oreal, like I said, the one chick was like, "Hey man," she was always messing with the Doug type dudes and all that. So it's just like now that when people grow up and they stop messing with that prototype, the bad guy, it's like now you're so bitter. But it was just like kind of a no-brainer that those type of dudes do that type of shit. Even though it's wrong and stuff, but it's just like, man, there was a lot of good dudes that had swag and shit you probably could have got with and not had like majority of those type of experiences. So man, that's the bad thing when they have those traumas, they didn't carry it on and stuff. And like you said, every situation they're kind of personalizing it, and it's just like, man, that's not fair to the other people because you kind of stepped with those type of dudes and stuff. But I mean, as far as what they bring to the table, I mean, if somebody's bitter, man, I don't think they bring much value because I mean, they holding on to so much negativity, to that situation, and it's just gonna burn you out. So that's probably why they have so much bad relationships, because it's just like whoever comes there, they got to bear the the burden of like all those dudes that they were associated with that like fuck their lives up, but they intentionally sought those dudes out. So yeah, it's like it's like a 360 of fuckery. Go ahead, Stan.
I just want to say one thing. It's for those of us who have to pay for it, right? It's not fair for us because it makes it seem like, well, there go the black man. All of us are evil. All of us are monsters. And like, yo, like either we're monsters or we sexualize. Like, but like, are we not a person? Like, do we not have the right to be individuals and to be judged by our own merit? Like, it's not fair. I have to pay for the sins of Sir Thug-a-Lot, who benefited from the relationship. I don't know what's going on, but I look down upon every time because I'm black. And so, like, at this point, like, to put all these messages and put us under the same umbrella and expectations that we have to clear out the sins of somebody else, I refuse to do it. That's for
Oh,
me.
me too.
I will
Not
not.
at all.
You need to talk to that person, like handle that person, get some closure, and work and deal with that person. Like, I'm not gonna. I no longer take care of every black male sin. I won't do it no more. At some point, people got to understand that that's not fair to a whole group of men.
Well, I mean that's what we be talk about all the time, and we be giving a pushback. We just did that 50-50 one. I forgot her name. That Amala that we reply back to, and we're just like, nah. Guys want women to invest in situations because, man, like y'all coming there with this like entitlement and all this stuff, and like you said, trauma, and guys are just like at the point now where they're like, I'm not dealing with it. Like you're trying to go through, figure yourself out at life. And like you said, you got to be a whole new shrink to somebody else. Like, man, it's just too much. It's too overwhelming. Then, when people do have issues, like I said, they want to dump it all on you. So it's not a good situation. So it's just like, man, guys are checking out of that shit.
And any woman gonna come after.
Oh,
this is straight up like amongst friendships. This is straight up like drive-through. It's like life in general. The interactions with somebody else who's gone through stuff or who has gone through stuff, and to go ahead and project that on us, like I just will not do it. If you don't like black men, figure that out. Because other than that, if I'm a customer, you gotta deal with me. I'm paying for services. Treat me like every customer in here. I don't care about your views on black men. That is not my responsibility. Get that stuff fixed, get it in order, and come back to the world. Because guess what? Just like you, I don't know who you are, is not messed up, and you don't want to be judged and be put in the category. Neither do we. In the year 2025, stop the BS. We are not taking it no more.
Let me get back to this video real quick.
So, with modern women, right, we are protecting ourselves because now it's coming to the situation where we're blamed for things. Even when we jump behind and help and try to save somebody, we're the issue there. So is that the modern day woman?
No, the modern day woman is just, we've gotten to such a privilege of being able to shift the narrative of what womanhood looks like. Like my mom married to get out of her house and her mom did the same thing.
Right.
And I couldn't imagine that for myself. You know, I'm 39 years old now, and I would like to be married and get in a committed relationship and all of that, but I don't want to do so just to like escape or welcome in this next part of my life that I think this person is going to usher me into. I don't want to be nobody's Coretta. Like, I'm having a great time being Oprah. Whoopi. I like all the people that don't want nobody up in their house.
What about when you want a sugar daddy?
I really do. It's a
We talked about this, and I told her
there's a website for that.
Why what is your reasoning behind that?
I mean, I know that there's a lot of negativity around that, but I would love to be taken care of and not be any of my money. I don't want the control.
Okay, which one is it?
Hold on. M3, when you ask, what did they bring besides nothing? God damn it! After this statement, nothing at all. I stand corrected. I was trying to give him some grace because I ain't seen this shit, but I was like, I get a politically correct answer, but now I'm hearing this bullshit talking about I want a sugar daddy and stuff. I want to live in my separate house. They ain't bring no fucking value at all. God damn it. Yeah. My bad, Stan. I just had to address that because M3 asked that question. I'm like, oh shit, let me like smooth this over real quick. But now that I'm hearing this, absolutely fucking nothing. M3, damn, they bring shit to the table. It was,
that was because it was like, I'm independent, but I want to be taken care of. I'm like, who is she? Who is this woman?
That's what. Go ahead, Stan.
No, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, man, like she was a walking contradiction because at first, man, she was like Oprah on that boss shit. Then all of a sudden, she turned into like I always say, a dependent. So it's like, okay, you going out there, you getting all that bread and stuff, but man, like I always say, that's why I was like, man, that provider shit is just it's low key disrespectful nowadays. How they use it, it's almost like provider, or would they be like, like in the other video he's watching, like, oh, I want the masculine man. It's almost like that provider and masculine means dumb nowadays. It means you're stupid because they wanted just a sucker to come and like, hey, I want you in this like position in my life, just a fun shit for me, be my financier, and then I want you to disappear when I tell you, but I'm gonna act like you're the leader. I'll call you the leader and stuff, and I'm like, oh hell no, like even big girl don't even know.
I would say like to lead the pay them bills. That's what.
Yeah, man. Yeah. It's just the most disrespectful shit nowadays. It's almost like, oh, a masculine man would do this. I'm like, so does masculinity just mean dumb to y'all? Is that what the new meaning is? Y'all just like remixed it? Cause
that's what.
But yeah, even a homegirl that was just talking, man, and not to be mean, it's just like, you a big girl, man, to having all these demands and shit, like. That girl should be just damn near throwing money at anybody. She should be welcoming homosexuals. Her couch should be just open. Like, look, you come stay at the crib. Talk about you, Oprah. Goddamn it, Stedman at the crib. Stedman ain't paying Oprah's bills.
Been exposed to men who did it, and that's why she can say what she said with all her heart and authority. There are men.
What happened to the good old days when chicks that was like kind of heavier and stuff, like was the nicest people on the planet? They were so nice and stuff that, back in the 90s and stuff, they was like, hey man, they do their role. They
weren't nice, sir.
They was, I'm telling you, man, back in the day, I guess they had personality and shit. They were like, hey, she just like, look, I want this. I want a sugar daddy. I'm like, who the fuck is gonna do that?
Oh, there's some men that would do it.
Nah, stop playing, man.
I'm just gonna
go ahead.
Sorry. I'm just gonna say this, right? Because right now, currently, I'm doing like a social experiment. All right. Now, I'm tapping into like dating apps for the first time, just to kind of get the feel of certain things, right? Just to say I have that experience.
You said on dating apps?
Mm-hmm.
You want Jewish singles? I said, are you on Jewish singles? No, I'm playing.
No, I'm just trying out Facebook dating and Tinder.
Damn,
Facebook dating is free, right? So I'm just saying, you got when you're on the budget, you gotta save, right? But and so far I had one match, right? Within the first like 12 hours. But the thing is that what I'm thinking is that, man, like when women they get on these like dating apps, these social media apps or whatever, even if they're not really having the man of their dreams,
Mm-hmm.
they're already probably getting like 100 matches, bro. Like probably within a couple of minutes of them logging into like these type of dating apps. And some of these men don't really care how large are you. They're just looking for someone that's going to love them for who they are, where they're currently at in their poor state of mind. And as long as, like, in exchange, they're giving them attention for a piece of nothing, as they're selling them the dream, these women are, and I'm talking about women like her that's largely obese, that's 300 pounds. That 300-pound hippo, right, is always going to think that she is the Halle Berry of every man's dream, and every man should walk on. No, sorry, should kiss on the gravel that she walks on.
Yeah,
It comes with that type of mindset, and unfortunately, like you said, Stan, like I don't want to believe it because I discriminate heavy, like when it comes to like these type of women. So I couldn't believe it, but my eyes are definitely open.
You know what's crazy, M3? You know what's crazy?
Mm-hmm.
There are men who paid them just to kiss their feet,
Get
to
out of
get
here.
underwear, to get their bra.
Yeah,
There
they
are
do
men
that.
that will pay. They pay for that from them. So that's what I'm telling you, SJ. That sweet, innocent, nice. Them women gone, bro. Like there are men out here that got some fetish and they'll pay for it.
That's a damn shame. They messing. They got their head inflated. She was like the main one talking. Like, and they just cheering her on. You go, girl, Oprah. Like, oh,
But you know how many NFL players, NBA players she already had?
nah, not that. I can't go that far, Stan.
I'm telling you. I'm
I
telling
can't.
you,
I
brother.
don't see that happening.
How many NBA majors, director of such
Mm-mm.
and such, CEO of this and that, she had access. Like
Nah,
big
stop
girls
playing,
got
Stan.
access to everything and everybody.
Look, I'm going to just say this, right? I'll make it quick. A female bodybuilder.
Oh,
Usually men shame them and they look at them like they're the most disgusting Buck Buell, like the disgusting women in the face of earth. I don't know what. I don't know why they feel that way, but the ones that usually be talking all this mess about women who's looking masculine and all that, those are the same ones that be going to the DMs. All these women that talk about this polyamorous relationships and these men that's fighting against that are the same ones that slide in DMs. You'll be surprised with stuff that I heard. But the reason why I'm saying this is because like you'll have like someone that a CEO, but they do have certain fetishes. So she's not like America's like pick of the choice, but you're gonna have this one wealthy person, and he's gonna be very old and white, and he's gonna have a fetish for big black juicy fat women. They have this notion that
you see.
But I mean, man, they ain't gonna be chicken on bread. Like, cause I don't get me wrong. I know she could get somebody, but ain't nobody gonna be like how she's talking. Like she's talking like she's damn near Melissa Ford and what was the other one? Wu, whatever.
Jessica Wu.
Yeah, Jessica Wu. Like I can see them kind of like stunting a little bit, but her.
Oh, Jared, that's where you're wrong. Like you'll be surprised.
Yeah,
nah. People will cop up a lot of bread for that.
Nah, nobody copping up no bread, man.
There's some old geezer milk on that cow right now, bro. I'm telling you.
I bet you her inbox is full. They're like, "Where's she at?" I'm telling you, brother. I'm telling you. But I got one thing to call Cap on. I'm gonna call Cap when she talked about like the women of yesterday had to depend on their men or their husbands and all the other stuff. We are missing out on what's that 3 or 4 decades now, or even 5 decades, right? 50 years of women like not needing a man and going and getting welfare or Section 8. They didn't need a man. They just need a man to get a baby. so women were getting pregnant to get away from home so they could have their own place to stay. Are we going to skip that? Because that's what happened. To say that women were getting married to stay with a man, okay, that's fine. But there's another side to it. Women were getting their own apartments. They got pregnant and then get welfare and everything else. And you got your own house. You get away from your mother house and got your own. So she skipped that, and I was like, "Yo, you can't say that and brush this underneath the rug." Like that was wasn't that modern women that did that as well? So like this whole thing of the modern women and not looking at the modern man at the same time, we all grew together.
Well, I think that was a small population that actually did that. So I mean, that did happen to a small degree. But I mean, I think the biggest thing that when they go to the past, it's almost irrelevant. It's like, yeah, y'all don't have to move out of necessity and all that stuff. But it's like, man, now you could work with somebody. And I don't understand why that's so fucking hard. It's like, okay, if you say you're a boss chick, and then say a dude got his shit together, like, why are you still unwilling to work with somebody to get to that next level? You know, why is it got to be a circumstance where you got to try to use them now? Like that ain't what a relationship is. So that's what I'm saying. It's almost like people want to go to the past and stuff, but it's like, man, nah, let's stay in this present right now and let's talk about why you're kind of a bad person and why you want to put that burden on somebody when you don't have to. Where we got now in the modern era, we could both work with each other and we got a whole nother like I say luxury where we both could work now and get like easy jobs because we're doing things the smart way. We're maneuvering better, and we could both like pour into the house and now hit heights, invest more. Now if something happens with one of our jobs, man, we got like another level of protection. So it's just like instead of going to that, they want to like, well, back in the days we didn't have to do this, and just to hide their self-centeredness. So that's what I'm saying. It's almost like a cop out. It's like, oh, in the past, this. It's like, nah, let's stay in the present and talk about your self-centered ass. Like, why you can't work with somebody now? What the fuck does the past have to do like with what you could do right now with somebody the right way? You know what I'm saying?
I'm still gonna put the pushback on them about like there's like 40 years or 50 years of where you didn't need a man and you only had these babies and you did move out on your own to get the apartment on your own because you got this kid and you can do it. Because the whole thing, the evil black man and all this stuff, I gotta fight against that imagery because that's BS. Because you had another way of doing it as well.
But I just think when we take it to the past, man, it's like we're not even 50. So, I ain't never looked in the past and be like, hey, man, because I'm like, man, I got opportunities. I'm going to go get it.
Yeah, that's what we've been modernized. We've been modernized, right? And that's crazy, right? But I never sat in a woman. I just lived my life, but I didn't live it to the point where I'm like, I'm going to build up what's this thing is like, I don't want to build up new strongholds so I could get married and have a whole crazy more stuff, not in the past, but stuff in the present, right? Mm-hmm. But I want to ask you a question about this boss chick. I don't know if people understand, like, when I keep on hearing boss chick and what I see a boss chick, it look like these boss chicks ain't got no employees. I think that's why they can't work with somebody, because if you had employees and the boss, you have to listen to somebody, right? And you got to have an answer to the board of directors, right? And you got to have, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's so many steps and levels of communication and also accountability. So when I hear boss chick, I want people to understand, like ladies understand, like that's a red flag. You just want to control everything. And that's what I hear. And that's what I see when somebody say they're a boss chick. I see no employees. Nobody's benefiting from it. And it's all about you.
Yeah, but people just like slogans nowadays. They think all this kings, queens, boss chicks. Like you said, motherfucker ain't got one employee. You know? Okay. So it's just like, man, like I get it. But just going back to one statement, it's just like I think we gotta keep people in the present. It's like, man, we ain't no longer in the past. Like modern days, right now, why can't you work with somebody with your self-centered ass? And we got to stop people from going back too far, because it's like, I get it that temptation's there, but it's just like you said, it's like, man, let's get rid of all this like cute terminology, slogans. Let's just focus on why people are not that good people, and why nobody wants to work around you, and why you ain't got no goddamn employees, like Stan said.
Oh, here's another thing too. You talk about the words, right? Like the sucker words like being a provider and leader, right? You know, also on that list is being the king. Because when they call you king, they're setting you up. Like, what's up, king? And it's like, okay, I want to be at service or something because a king's supposed to serve his people. So
Oh
even that,
yeah, nah, that's that servant leadership nonsense. I already crushed that was for somebody. They're like, oh, you should be a servant leader. I'm like, no, you shouldn't, because in order to be a servant leader, you got to have people underneath you that they're not looking to take advantage of somebody, that could be self-performers, that are selfless, that, put the mission first. So it's like, but nah, like you said, Stan, it's like that's what they try to do with that clever stuff, because this is like, hey, I want to try to put this person, I want to shame them or try to put them in a position where I can take advantage or manipulate them. So I'll be like, oh, you should be a servant leader. You should be serving the people. Like, I could if I had the right motherfuckers that wasn't trying to manipulate shit and take advantage of that. Yeah, absolutely. I would switch to that stuff.
but I just have a question, and maybe this could be brought up for another show, a future show. Definitely, 'cause I know you're gonna do a show on leadership. The question I have is then like, why do we see serving as a means of weakness? And it's up there with that question I had like a couple of podcasts ago. Like, when
Because of a
did
mission of guilt.
femininity? Oh, when did femininity means weakness? And it's like serving is weakness, and the femininity is weakness, and then also to take something that means strength and authority to flip it into weakness. A king is flipped into like not being in authority, not having control. But you calling me king to put me in position to serve you. You calling me a leader in a position to serve you. You call me a provider in a position to serve you. So I'm wondering, like, how do people take something that's supposed to mean one way, but flipped it into something that's so selfish?
So again, right, to elaborate why I said a mission of guilt is because like they're already doing that to us. See, we're always going to be like a slave, like to a woman's need, and the way how they have everything programmed set up because of like these simps have no self control. Women already learn and understand that all it takes is just like a lack of discipline and self control for them to control us and for them to have us to do anything that they want us to do. And since we're willing to do whatever we're told to do, and we're paying them to pretty much boss us around, which is ironic. Whenever there's a mention for a woman to serve, a woman to be traditional, just as they always try to preach that men should be traditional, they understand the severity of it is that like you have to put in some work to make a relationship go well, go smooth. You got to put in the work to please, to satisfy, to get things going. And since they're used to not really doing much to contribute, because if we don't teach them that, hey, like you need to contribute to something, they're always going to feel like it's okay. And unfortunately, the few men that will be willing to like put a woman in her place and let her know that, look, I'm not the type of one, they could be like, okay, well, I could always go after tens of thousands of other simps that's going to pay me to pretty much be this boss chick to him or whatever, or to pretty much have him do whatever that they want him to do. So anytime you hear someone say like you need, especially submissive, if they already know those are slave terms, man, because they're doing it to these men.
Yeah, well, because piggybacking off what M3 saying, yeah, a lot of it falls on men, man, because most dudes just have a duress mindset, man, and we just overvalue vagina. Because I even got friends right now, man. These dudes could clean up and get women, and they still like have a duress mindset. And I'd be like talking to people, and I'm like, dude, what the hell is wrong with you? Like, because they be giving me conversations, and I'm like, she's disrespectful. Here's all the red flags, and they still like, well, man, I just, they be like trying to sell the person to me, and I'm just like, dude, like you ain't gotta sell it, man. Like it's terrible, but if that's the path you're gonna go, that's the path you're gonna go. And so men, man, I don't know what it is with us, man, where we don't feel like we deserve a lot of stuff. reciprocation. It's just like men would just like sit there, and then once they start, paying, it's a wrap. So females, like, they know how to play to men's egos, like you said, with these words. They should be meaningless to somebody that kind of has confidence and knows themselves. It's like, man, I know who I am inside, so you ain't got to try to gas me up, and you can't manipulate me. But a lot of guys are. So a female could be like, hey, king, hey, this, hey, you're a provider, you're masculine. Oh, and their guys are just melting inside because, they probably don't get a lot of attention because they didn't want to put that work in. So whenever a female could say like some basic words, they melting in their arms, and them females got them. It's like a Geppetto, that puppeteer stuff. Like, so yeah, that's really what it is, man. It's just guys are so like simplistic, man, and lack confidence, where females just gonna use basic terminology and get these dudes hooked, man. Because I'm literally seeing it right now play out with grown men, and I'm like, y'all pathetic. But so yeah, females they just running the basic playbook, man. This shit shouldn't be this effective.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, that's crazy. But nah, M3 was like spot on. It's like, man, yeah, these dudes is just simps, man. It's to a whole nother level. Like, I never thought it was that bad. Like, I knew simps exist, but now that I'm like seeing it firsthand, and I'm like, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I can't even be that mad at the females, because they're like, shit, if I could get over somebody just by doing certain things and get the world in my like advantage, man, they're gonna take advantage of it. So it's like, I can't be mad at them at the end of the day if they could go and get guys to pay for shit just by saying like, hey, king. Shit, I would be running some game on some chicks if I could do that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I would pay for all my shit. Yeah. Like, hey, queen.
Like, and also gonna put the church out there, man of God. Like, you already put me in servitude. Like, hello, man of God. I'm like,
yeah, nah. You just gotta dodge it. Be like, man, I know who I am. Like, I am a man of God, but I ain't no sucker. Nowhere in the Bible says I got to be a sucker. Nowhere in masculinity alpha says you need to be a sucker. I need to do all kind of dumb shit. Like, I'm not dumb. Like, so yeah, that's where you got to just draw the line. Like, hey, those dumb guys over there, that's that bunch. I'm not in that group. Like, you just got to start separating yourself. And really, that's why I started having these conversations, because I'm like, okay, look, there's suckers over here. They're gonna do all that, but there is a group of guys y'all ain't pulling that shit on, and this is who I'm talking to. Like, y'all gonna work with us or go with them niggas, them dudes over there, them simps. Like, they'll let them throw their wallet and hey, go finesse them, because it ain't happening over here. Like, right. But let me get back to this video real quick.
Part if I could cater it.
9 times out of 10, when you're leading with the money, it's because you want to be able to control the person. Yeah. So you use the money to kind of keep them in a certain way.
Yeah, but even the broke ones, they do.
Yeah, they which is why the modern woman is out here kicking doors.
But you also said no. But a real man is going to provide and not have to look at it as, well, I'm providing for you so I can control you.
Eventually, it all will. Do you have to be out this late? Is it, why are you coming in this late? Because it's my job. I'm a comedian. I have to be at nightclubs till probably 2:30 in the morning. Like, and it started off not controlling, but then it turned into that, just throwing little hints here or doing it in a subtle way to try to make me say, oh, well, maybe I don't need to be out 5 nights a week when I know that's where I need to be.
Yeah. Well, how about if it flips? We all have a couple dollars up here, right? Modern woman. Is the modern woman willing to be the controlling one and take care of the man and let him be a stay-at-home dad?
It's not for me, because the ship has sailed on children for me. Like, that's just not going to happen, So for me, having a man in my life.
Man, the issue I have with L'Oreal, the one with the, what is that, blue, greenish, turquoise, whatever. That's what irritates me about a lot of them. It's like, man, pick a side you want to be on. Like, you say you want the dude to spend the money. It was kind of like that one show we did on Wheels where we was like looking at the love bombing and the 5 love languages, and we're like, man, they're damn near the same thing. So it's just like on the front end, it's just like women want the gifts, the words of affirmation, all the stuff that 5 love languages. But when the relationship goes bad, then they turn around and be like, oh, he love bombed me. Like, motherfucker, that's what you asked for. The 5 love languages. How the hell could I love bomb you now? Like, all of a sudden now the shit that you wanted is bad. So like in this clip, it's just like, she's pretty much like hey, oh, we want the sugar daddy. You remember when they were all clowning and stuff, but spending the money and having that, they're controlling now. Oh, even the broke ones want control. And I'm like, what you doing with a broke guy? So that was revealing. So it's just like, man, it's a no-win situation. And that's where I think what M3 you was pointing out earlier, or maybe you stand, where it's just like that trauma shit. This is why women are confused. Like, why are guys not talking to us? We're cute. Motherfuckers is like, I ain't trying to be your shrink, man. You ain't never happy. You don't know whether you want to do to pay, not pay. He's broke if he doesn't do this. So like what Stan was saying, it's like, man, it's a no-win situation, man. Like, yeah, get them passports, man.
Can I add one thing on there? Like with Mrs. Hart, Kevin Hart's ex-wife, to say like, well, at the beginning, like it sounds like it wasn't controlling, but then it was. I do have to work 5 times a week or 5 nights a week. Isn't it? Well, here I'm going to say my very popular, well, right? When men were doing it, it was like he was cheating and he's doing stuff, and then you got on him, right? And you want to make sure that he goes straight home after work, and that was controlling, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now the tables have turned. You really now going to sit down and communicate that. So what is this now? Like when you're making money and you have a dream and a goal in your life, I need to go ahead and be supportive. Now, when that table turns around, you got to support your man. And we don't need you to come on nobody's podcast talking about your fears and him or insecurities of him going out there cheating. If he's working and he got a dream and a goal, this is where you have this thing called empathy, because now you understand firsthand how it is out there when people have to work a day job and at the same time do what they got to do to go for a dream. Like no more of this stuff. Like it's fairness. We got to go for equality, and that's what we're gonna go for moving forward.
But the thing with them that also cracks me up, and that's what I'm saying. Sometimes, man, I don't think they like sit down and toss around their thoughts and stuff, and make it where it's not contradictory and where it don't sound bad, because it's like, man, it's almost like a little kid where they're like, they don't understand their parents have to have a budget or something. So it's like, hey, mom and dad, y'all know y'all got money. Give me this, give me, but because they just don't understand money. So it's like, if you're financially literate, it's going to seem controlling, but it's like, nah, I'm not Bill Gates and I just can't spend like that. So I'm going to have to be a little controlling, if you don't have like financial literacy. So a lot of times people just are not financially literate and they just think you're like a open spigot and you should be just forking out money. So that when that person's like, nah, man, I can't do it. Like, they might be planning ahead to retirement, paying stuff off and stuff. But that person in their mind, since they're like illiterate to the finances, they're looking at it like, oh, this person's controlling. They don't let me do what I want to. So, man, that's why I was like, sometimes we might need to go deeper with some of them. If there was an interview, like, what do you mean by like controlling? Because he told you no, because you can't do no reckless spending. Yeah, like that's not controlling. That's called
being adult.
Yeah.
That's being adult.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But I got a question for you. Like, then here's something. Then, because like, wouldn't that be financial abuse? Because you're an adult, an able-bodied adult. Why aren't you working? Why aren't you having your own money instead of like depending on somebody else and making and saying that they're controlling? Like, yo, like, don't you have a W-2? Because don't you get something at the end of the year when it's tax return season? Like, what's going on here? Because I was sure enough you could help him out and like be his dependent, but you're not a dependent. So these are questions I gotta like, you know what I'm saying? You got people I start asking people like, yo, you feel like you being controlled, but like, why didn't you have a job? Why are you not able to support yourself?
Yeah. No, it's so many layers, man. Yeah, and I think that the good thing, like we said, we're not just us, but I know a few other people starting to kind of break this stuff down. And like you said, it's getting harder and harder for people to like start hiding behind stuff. So I'm glad that they speaking, because like you said, it's like, yeah, when you start pulling down the layers, man, it's just like you can find like 4 or 5 questions we probably need to start asking and stuff. Like, yeah, why don't you have no job and shit? I don't want to work. Really, that's the answer. It's like, I didn't want to work and this and this. Because it's like, hell, that could have alleviated some of the issues and stuff. You would have had your job and, you know, you was willing to pay for some of your stuff and contribute. Like, so yeah, it's starting to become cyclical now where, man, it's just a bunch of excuses and, well, we're going to throw shots at the men. Like you said, it's like, hell, they're broke.
You got to throw shots at the men now. Like, who are you gentlemen that you sit down and pay for a full-grown adult in your house? And to be controlled by an unemployed homeless woman in your house, or man, or non-binary, because we're gonna go for everybody. Somebody who's unemployed, eating your food, eating your snacks in your house, telling you what time you need to come home. Are you serious?
Yeah, it's just like, man, really what they trying to say, man. It's just like, man, they're incapable of like respecting a relationship, really. Because it's like, shouldn't nobody be just like stepping on other, you know, like I'm married, man. I can't go out and just kick it all night and disrespect my wife. So with them, it's like, oh, it's controlling. It's just like, man, y'all just unruly, man. Just say like, man, you just want to be single, get piped down, man.
Yep.
But just don't.
And
that's fair, man. It's like, okay, like Melissa Ford, I didn't want no kids, man. But don't be bitter about the decisions y'all make at the back end. And then put it on us. Like, where's all the leaders of the good men? That's why I get irritated. It's like, man, if you make your decisions, you fought for certain things, man, go out there and be an adult, man. Like, that's the beauty of this like country now. It's like, hey, man, there's opportunities. You could go out there and do it. Take on the responsibility of adulthood, though. You can't have it both ways. So, like with me, I wanted to be an adult. I left the house early, man. Like, I can't sit there and go back and cry because I made certain decisions and shit. So, yeah, they just want it all ways, man.
I want to add what you just said. Like, yo, I'm single. I don't even go out and act wild and be crazy and do stuff because I know, like, there's responsibility that I have to have for my own self. So, you know, I'm just not going out here and being reckless. So being single, I just want to put out there, like, people are single, like, yo, there's a cost to your freedom. And also you got to honor yourself. And by honoring yourself does not mean you go out there and hit every nightclub and do everything that everybody else is doing. Like, yo, take care of your life and your money. And that's it. That's what it means being single until that time comes when you're not single anymore. But like, yo, like, you just can't disrespect yourself. And if you respect yourself, then you know, like, man, I need to be out here at 2:00 in the morning, getting caught up and trying to be on like Channel 2 News because I'm out here in these damn streets doing Lord knows what with Lord knows who. Like we used to say in this, like we say in the South, after like 2:00 in the morning, the only things open out here is just straight up liquor store and legs. So
7-Eleven. All right, let me put the video back on.
Life is somebody who is like, will be a really great addition to what I've already set up for myself. Like, I'm now a homeowner. I have a really great
Congratulations.
job. Thank you. So it's just like the guy that would be perfect in my life would be somebody who wants to be a witness to my life and I'm a witness to theirs. We're the rich auntie uncle.
Yeah.
That's me.
So you never thought about kids, marriage?
No.
I've always thought about kids and marriage, and now it's totally flipped. I am at a point where I do not want kids. However, I'm also open if the partner situation comes in and there's kids involved or what, I am open to that. But I feel like I'm having to like keep remaking that piece in order to not make myself feel like I'm mourning some life that I didn't get, that I thought I always wanted. And
it's also making peace with the decisions that you feel like you were always supposed to want, but you never really actually wanted them. If I wanted something to happen, I would have made it happen. Children didn't happen. And it's probably because I never really saw myself as, you know, being a mom. Like it wasn't in the cards, you know, and I've been secretly okay with it, but I felt ashamed to actually admit that, you know?
Why? Because other women made you feel that, or society?
It's a societal pressure to make you feel like if this is not being used, your uterus is not in use, then what use are you as a woman? You know what I mean?
They make men too, because, you know, a guy that I've been
Yeah, man, I don't fault people for not wanting kids if they don't But I do think sometimes people cap. And man, it's just one of those things where, like, even with me, because at first I was like, man, I always used to say I didn't want no kids. But then again, I was like, man, I do want to carry on my name and stuff. So it's like that thin rope. So it's just sometimes, man, you do gotta, I'm not saying jump into anything, but, make sure that you're sure of it. But it sounds like they still kind of on the ropes, because I know the one that was sitting in the middle, she was kind of like, well, I'm leaving it open a little bit. And it's like, man, if you truly still have that desire, man, you better stop, like, just change your personality a little bit and go for it, because, man, when she starts hitting those 50s and 60s, man, like, I don't think people, like, understand how you just change mentally sometimes, especially when you start getting older. You're like, all right, man, I wouldn't mind, like, grandkids and stuff.
I'm going to say this the nicest way as possible. Maybe M3 needs to go first before I go in.
No, go ahead, Stan. I don't care about kids.
I'm gonna call cap, and cap in the sense of, like, is not being vulnerable, not being realistic. Everybody think about having a family of their own. Everybody think about having kids or having a mini me. I think it's a disservice when you go out there and, like, no, I didn't want it at all, because the probability of you having it is a no, right? You got to be honest with that loss, because there's a responsibility that's there. Because, even for me, there's like, there's something personal that happened to where I didn't know. And then there is I had no control what she did, but to find out from everybody else that this happened, I took that as rejection, right? So I just, like, didn't want to deal with it no more. And then, like, the idea of me having kids were like, yo, there's some women that wanted to, but again, because we're in modern times, we had to do things. It was like a weird setup, and I'm just like, yo, like, I just sit down with myself, like, who is this Stanley that they think I am, that wants to, like, have a family but at the same time be a gigolo? Like, yo, that's not.
Yeah.
I'm very protective and I like staying home. I'm not this whoremongering person that these women thought I was. So that took a lot of things for me to sit back and fix. And that's what I'm saying, like, being single is a responsibility. It does not mean that you need to go out there and act like you're, like, 19 at freaking 30, 40, and 50, 60, and 70. Like, no, you honor your singlehood. But the fact that everybody kept on pushing things back and thinking that someday will happen, and then that's the part where, again, that accountability that everybody's kind of ignoring is just like a fact. Like, yo, you did want a family. You probably have opportunities to get married, and you just said no to it because you thought a career was more important, or you thought that you have more time. I think that's the thing that people need to be honest and talk about. Because, I know for me it was good that I didn't have the child, because all the headaches that would have took place, because that would have been the 90s, the child support and everything else, and I probably would have no hair right now. So, and I probably, like, 3 tons of fun. So and I've seen a lot of brothers gone through it. It's like, for me to learn what they were going through with child support and dealing with all these women, I'm like, okay, I don't want that for my life. We got to be honest, because, like, for us guys, like, men will sit down and talk to you like, yo, you don't want that. Like, take your time, take it easy. Like, go to another country and do this. But I don't think, like, they're sitting down here and not being honest. And I think she's the only one that's on the panel that actually has a child. I'm not too sure Lori has one, but Mrs. Hart, she, I think, had 2 kids with Kevin Hart.
Yeah, 2 kids.
Like, she can talk about that, but, like, a lot of women are out here, they want children and they didn't get to have kids. But, like, yo, in order for you to get kids and want children, that means that you got to build with the man. And you didn't want to build with the man. So, like, yo, like, the system that you guys have been going through didn't work, and it did fail you. And so, like, be honest and talk about that. And then for the next generation, be more supportive for them, because they're going to need their help to have a job and a career and everything else. And just one more quick thing. ladies, the men had to do that at one point, was to have a job, a career, and take care of their family. Talk to the men and ask them how they did it, because you're in the same boat right now. That's all I gotta say.
All right, so
Go ahead, M3.
Yeah, so all right, I want to be completely transparent, right? Especially because it's 2025, and a lot of times, like, you know, we're at a point where, well, for me, like, you know, you reflect on life, because I've been through like a whole lot, and I'm not gonna lie, like, I wish I did have kids, you know, but I wish that. But here's the caveat to it, right? I wish that I was a heathen. I wish I chose to be a heathen when I had the opportunity when I was like 19, like back in college. Unfortunately, those were like my prime times got fucking robbed by the church. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to talk about the church like that,
No,
but it ties into it
with all your heart.
Nah, because I have no heart no more, man. But like, you know, unfortunately, I was a religious man at the age of I think between like 19 and 20, right? And my prime was like 21, where I was like the man, like back in college. And I had a lot of opportunities, right, that I could have capitalized on, but I tried to do all the right things. I mean, to this day, like, I feel like I still kind of, you know, was successful by doing some certain right things, but you know, during that time, like, a lot of people around my age was already popping kids. The reason why, like, I didn't want to have kids, because the ones who had kids so young, man, they struggled a lot. Like, they went through a lot, like, you know, raising those fucking children and all that, right? Ungrateful ass kids. But when they grow to be like 20 and 30 or whatever, sorry, man, I'm going. Well, some of them are 30, because some of my other friends are like, you know, almost in their 50s and stuff or whatever, right? But when they grow to be like, you know, like in their mid 20s, I'd be like, damn, right? You know, like, I could have had like a red pearl version of like M3 Junior, right? And I could have passed the seed, and I would have had so much fun, right? Teaching them, like, you know, about these modern women, right? But it would have been nice to like kind of like have someone like where I could like actually go places with sometimes. Again, they're gonna branch out and do their own thing. You know what I mean? Like, that's what children are supposed to do. But you know, I feel like at this age of 40, like, it's already too late for me. And I'm saying this is too late because, man, like, the way how the world is, man, and like the way how shit happens, like relationships are not sustainable. Even for the people who probably would say, like, you know, like, black love this or black love that, or stick with your own kind, stick with your own race, like, that shit been died out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, like, I think that's probably like why, like, you know, I grow in attachment for single, like, Latino mothers, right, who has like 4 or 5 kids. 4 kids.
Oh, hell no. Cut the live, dog. We're having technical difficulties.
That's what he's saying, SJ. He's already fertile. He gonna sit down and get her pregnant and get her for like 5 more.
No, but they come prepackaged though. Like, I want the cheat code where it's like, all right, cool. Like, you got the kids, right? They're good kids. They're around close to. I ain't gonna so close to my age because that would be a little out there. But you know, they're like in their 20s or whatever, right? They're eligible to like work and bring money home on the table and stuff, right? And with the
employees.
Yeah, you trying to build a sweatshop, man. You know,
trying to get employees.
But real quick,
yeah,
I think, man. I mean, life, you just can't have everything your way. So, man, I do give respect to even Melissa Ford and I know people go in on people that don't have kids, like, oh, you guys don't have no kids. I'm like, man, if you ain't ready, I think you guys are pretty selfless for not bringing a kid in the world if you're not ready. Because I see so many people spitting them out, and man, they screw the kids up. So it's just like, if you're not ready, man, you can't do it. And then I like what Stan was saying, where it's like, man, just be honest with your situation. Sometimes, so it's like other people can learn from it. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I have no issue talking about my faults and stuff like that, man. I ain't perfect. That's why if anybody think that, man, sit down, grab a chair, like I can break it down to you. But it's just like, I'm gonna tell you the real thing. Like I said, I was like, man, I remember I was growing up, I was like, man, I was gonna have a kid, but I had that change of heart. You know what I'm saying? Glad I had my son, but I stopped at one because I was like, man, I could only handle one kid. You know, people was even shaming me and my wife for that. Like, oh, you guys only got one kid. You guys are kind of selfish in this. So, I mean, there is some society pressure, but I just was always like, look, I ain't gonna fucking pay my bills and help out with this shit. So y'all need to kiss my ass.
I'll be like, when people would be saying that, so are you gonna help out with the kids? Like,
yeah, you're gonna kick off some of this rent. So yeah, I just, man, I stopped caring and stuff, and I just realized like you got to be just true with yourself and be like, okay, this is something I can't do. So, you know, shout out to Melissa Ford and people like y'all too, where it's just like, man, y'all didn't make it about like your own selfish desires and needs. And, you know, like I said, put yourself in a bad situation and put the kid. But it's just like, she couldn't be honest. Like Stan said, it's just like, hey man, you know what? I did like chase my career, or I was just kicking it with too many guys. I had a ton of options, you know, and I thought I would have more time, man. We sometimes think we're invincible, man. So yeah, the reality is it's like, man, when you're young and you find a good person, man, you probably should just ride it out with that person instead of just like always like seeking out like all the individuals. If you do want a family, you know, and it's just like lock in with that person and just learn how to like stop nitpicking and being petty. And I think that's where we need to start going with the conversation. Is like, hey man, like when you have that window and you're young, you meet somebody good and they meet enough of those checklists, and they might not be the perfect one. I think people just like blinded by the options, and temptation is too much.
Now here's a flip side of this, right? Because it's not too late, not for men. Because when you look at, I know Dennis Sperling, I like his stuff for like the Passport Bros. Now this is when Passport Bros come along, right? You look like Brian McKnight. He got a new son at however old he is right now. There are some men out here who never got a chance to get married. Fell into this trap of being providers, right? Who are, Dennis Sperling talked about this one guy, Dominican Republic, and he's like 56. He finally got married, met a woman that really wanted to marry him. And she's a doctor. Like, so before anybody come in, like, oh, they poor third world country. No, we're the new third world country in America. And he got his first son. And I've seen like a lot of men are starting later in life because the options that they have now of what they really wanted is like, yo, this is what I want. And here's a woman that also want family. So you can't force a woman. I know we don't look at motherhood a lot, or like when they're talking about motherhood, it's always like a burden and nobody look forward to it. Nobody wants it. So if you're a guy hearing this, then you're like, yo, I do want a family and I don't want to sit down and mislead this woman and then make this into conversations later on. Like, I really want a kid or two kids, but like to go somewhere that somebody wants to have a legacy with you. I think that sometimes that's what fuels some of the men for Passport. So I'm just putting that out there.
I don't know about that 50-year-old shit. You
But
want to be the old Negro tossing the frisbee. You could barely pick it up and shit.
Man, he got cousins.
Huh?
I want to say this. He got cousins. My father gave me a little sister in his 70s. Like, and Caribbean men are different. I'm just gonna put out there, Caribbean men are different. You'll have an uncle, and you'll have a brother, and everybody else the same age, and you're the oldest one, and like the hell, you got to babysit your uncle, and then
yeah, but I mean, I think it's something, man. When you're going through those like high school years, man, you could have that energy, and you could, you know, like my son, I was helping him coach him in wrestling and stuff. So it's just, yeah, don't get me wrong. Like you could still do certain things because I know the age thing could be pushed, but it's like, man, you don't want to be all fatigued and stuff, man. You're supposed to be, present if you can. I do know people have to work sometimes and stuff where it takes them away from the house, but it's just like, man, yeah, I don't. And just the other thing with the passport stuff, it is an option. So if anybody want to go that route, man, definitely supportive of that. But I just think, man, everybody, if we're just being honest, we could go back in like our 20s and stuff and be like men and women, where it's just like we probably all overlooked probably like 2 people that had their shit together that we could have been with. But we was just like, hey, we want to play the field and shit. So that's what I'm saying. A lot of times, man, the options are here. It's just, man, everybody overlooks them because it's like, man, I want to chase something better, or I got my eye on this person. I want to play the field, So if everybody's just being honest, that's the reality.
Yeah, I'm honest. I want a black girl. I was expecting a black, a black American princess. And
you said a bat.
That's what I wanted. Cause, I'm Haitian, so that was my dream, to get an African American chick. That's all I wanted. And my family be like, nah. I'm like, no, that make no sense. Why you raised me in open locker then? If you didn't want me to be with no bat. And that was the right? It's like, yo, you put me in Harlem and you think I'm gonna go to Spanish Harlem? Like, you gotta be kidding me, right? But the women I got were non-black, and I was just like, I don't know about this. Like, God, And so,
you say you wasn't having it, huh?
Yeah, I was like, I'm still not having it. I'm like, God, but like through therapy, I'm like, I'm opening up to like, yo, it's not working out with these BAPs. And there's a T-shirt out there that one of my friends gonna get me. He's like, I'm single, because I still date black women. I'm like, oh God, don't give me that shirt.
But all right, man. Well, let me get to I want to see what the rest they say on this video. So
for sure.
And he doesn't have any kids. And the first thing that people are all, and I was guilty of it too. I was just like, you ain't got no kids. But I caught myself and I was like, no, Tori, don't think like that. Just maybe he just hadn't found that person.
But it's a little bit more forgiving for them. Like they can get away with being like the George Clooney, like bachelor for life kind of thing. Right. It just is. For women, it's just like, what's wrong with you?
I've met someone recently.
George Clooney
and he's in his 40s and he doesn't have children. I'm like, I had a slight moment where I was like, okay, you sure you got no kids? Like, you sure you got no kids in Haiti somewhere?
Right.
Like, but also I was like, maybe God just saved this one for me. Like, maybe that was my little treasure to find.
Here's the funny thing. So I didn't see myself having kids until I was 35. I had kids 9 years earlier than 35. And so, in my mind, I was like, oh, okay, so I'm not going to have a career. I couldn't navigate and do as much as I wanted to do. So, now that my kids are older, I feel like I'm a little late to the party. But I'm starting to remove that out of my head because I'm like, no, Tori, now is the time. Your kids are older.
I was going to say, you are the party.
Yeah. We're going to get out of here. Thank you so much for watching. I want to thank y'all so much for opening up and just expressing everything, all your feelings, all the truths. This is Listen to Black Women. Thank you so much.
All right, we go ahead and stop that.
Yo, that whole thing about George Clooney, like George Clooney got kids. Like he married late, yes. And that wife he had is kind of like he took SJ and SJ motivation speech, like, oh, marry up. And he did.
Oh, she got some bread.
Oh, big time, man. She's like a alpha female. And like he handles stuff, CEO, all the other stuff. And I believe they got a set of twins. They went the surrogacy route, I believe, allegedly. But he has children. He don't put them in the spotlight. A lot of them are going to put their kids in the spotlight because they don't want their kids to grow up like industry.
Yeah, he got 2 kids. Yep.
Yeah, so that's why.
George Clooney. You talking about the comedian that passed away?
No, George Clooney, the actor.
George Clooney.
Ocean 11.
Oh, okay.
Best friend with Brad Pitt. Like, he doesn't want his kids to grow up like industry kids. So of course they're not in the in the limelight. So like, yo, like you can't put that on him. Like, yo, like where you guys get this information from? Like, and why didn't Mrs. Hart just say she was 26? Like doing them baby ages. Like, here's my baby, 52 months old. Like, yo, at 35, you didn't have your kids at 35, but you have them at 26. So
yeah, I'm looking at George Clooney's wife. She got 50 million legal expertise. So she specializes in international law, human rights cases. Yeah, shit. Shout out to George Clooney, man. He was like, hey, y'all get y'all broke asses away from me. He's like, her right there, her with the briefcase and the Hillary Clinton power suit on. He's like, holla at her for me. Shout out to George Clooney. That's how you do it. I ain't messing with no broke chicks.
Yeah. So like, and that's what part of what I'm saying. Like, yo, the dishonesty of it. Like, yo, like you're not being honest. Like, yeah, you thought you could have kids later, but thank God you had it at 26. You had it at 26, and that's it. So why would you regret having your children? And also, your husband was moving up as a comedian, and you was helping out. You was gaining job skills, working together. It wasn't like you were just a stay-at-home mom, and Kevin Hart didn't involve you in the business. Like she gets hired in as a writer because Kevin Hart and her worked together. She got a skill.
Okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah. That's why she's touring with Cat Williams. Like Cat Williams hired her. So, it's kind of like there's one guy, I don't want to put his name out there, but he's always telling people like, you need to quit your job to be a real entrepreneur. But I'm like, yo, you work for your family winery and took it to the internet. And you're not being honest with people that you're getting paid because you was working in your family winery.
Those people are so stupid, man. The whole entrepreneur. It's like, man, if you could come up with a good business plan, definitely move out and execute it. Because I mean, we do need people to establish company, but it's like everybody can't do it. And it's just like at the end of the day, Tim Cook is a billionaire for working at a company, for having a 9-to-5 job. He got way more money than any of these internet entrepreneurs and shit. So it's just like, if I'm gonna go a route, I'm gonna go his route. You know what I'm saying? So it's just so dumb. I was like, listen to some financial people. It's like, man, it's so unorthodox how you can get rich, like by working, investing your money. You might have a spouse that works too, they invest. So yeah, that whole old school shit, like, oh, you go be an entrepreneur, like you're a slave if you work. It's like, man, you're all gonna have to work, even if you build your own company. I don't know what this like whole fascination of just like not doing shit and you're just gonna make all this money is just like it like it's a reality or something.
But then OPM, that's what it's called, other people's money.
Yeah, but it's like, man, those are all like, schemes.
So I need to come to you and them three like, hey, I got an idea and I need you to invest with me on this idea.
Yeah,
but you still gotta put that work into it, no matter what.
I won't have 90% of the shares. I'm just gonna give you 1%. The split.
Like, let me ask y'all before we start closing out. Do y'all think it's better to have a kid early in life or later in life? Because I think it kind of ties into what's her name, Kevin Hart's ex-wife, what her dilemma is. Because I ain't gonna lie, man, it used to bother me too. Because I was like, me and my wife had our son very early and stuff, and it was kind of harder on us because like we were still like developing career wise. But luckily, like we made it and stuff. But now that it's funny, we're in our 40s now, and our son's like 23. Everybody around us is like have little kids, and they're just like all burnt out. They're like, man, y'all lucky. Y'all kid is like so functioning. So it's almost like we traded lives. We switched roles. Like when we were younger, everybody's going out partying and doing their shit. So now it's like we're traveling and everything. So yeah, it's like a flip flop.
I will say it's better to have the kid early, as soon as possible. But here's the trade-off of everything, right? Because unless if you was born wealthy because of your parents and you didn't really have to do anything, Papa's main kids you want to, right? Because you're gonna use your family's legacy, right, to like fund a child anyway. You want to have kids right when it's early, right? Because that way, because now like since you're in your 40s. It's like you're kind of coming close, like to like that retirement age, and you don't want to have any other child like to kind of like hinder you back. You know what I mean? Like you're retired, but you still have to be active. And you still got to work just as hard because you got to make sure it's in school. You got to do all these like like parent-teacher meetings, things like that. Yeah. But now your kid is like out of school and like going off to college. He's old enough to kind of take care of his own in some cases. So
yeah, that's why I was like, when Stan was on that 50 shit, I'm like, God, I couldn't even imagine.
No, I'm gonna say older. This is what I'm gonna say older. It can go either way, right? Younger, if you have it younger, fine. But the thing about when you have kids younger, you're not in the relationship with your child. Some people don't like having the child relationship, and then they kind of like regret like not spending enough time, and then that's when you see them like with the grandkids and being more of a parent to the grandkids than they were with the children, because at the same time you were still growing up and developing yourself, and this was just a chore for some people, especially if you were like a single parent. um I think older, because in the sense where I see what older parents, they're a little bit more conscientious with the child, and they want to raise this kid to be a little more independent, and they're taking them on trips. They show them how things work around the world, as opposed to they're stressing out about finances. A lot of time older people are planning out for the kid, and and that's where it's at. Like, it happens for everybody at what particular age of their life. And I'll say that's the whole thing of being modernized. Like, you're not, people are living longer. One, two, guess what? There are a lot more older parents now. Three, if you're younger and you have children, it's okay, right?
Yeah.
That's it. And then when you like, you're in your 40s now, you'll travel. But then when you have grandkids, you can help out your son and everything else. And guess what? Our generation, right? Like, my niece, like, she's growing up, she's seen both great grandmothers. That's never happened. Like, I'd never even seen my great grandmother before, but like, she got relationships with both great grandmothers on both sides of her family, and that's huge for a lot of people now to see that. Like, they're able to see so many generations, and that's a blessing. So whatever age that you do have a kid, I'm just gonna say this: like, just build your circle and be conscious about this person, because they do have to grow up. And a kid is not just a mini version of you, nor a pet. They have to go out in society and make society work and build it. So that's it.
All right. But man, we'll start closing out. We'll go ahead and do a recap real quick, and I'll start with M3 first.
Yeah,
All right,
man.
closing statements.
Yeah. So look, man, like, the only thing I'm just gonna say is that, like, you make choices of whatever you want to do in life. Whether it be relationships, whether it be the children, since we talked about that. But honestly, man, like, you gotta take accountability, like, to, like, how the outcome plays out. And I understand, like, this is a group that we're watching where, of course, women are not gonna really hold themselves accountable or take any accountability and just try to put the blame on anything. But I think it's still, like, unrealistic to still, like, want a man to provide, but then you want to throw it in our faces that you're independent. Bitch, if you're independent, stay independent. Keep that same independent IND, whatever. I know I spell it, but I don't feel like spelling because it's too long. Keep that same energy, right, amongst yourselves, and do what you need to do to survive. Stop trying to flex the independent stuff, and then you want a man to take care of you and sweep you off your feet, because now that kind of, like, destroys the purpose of you being this independent queen. So that's all I got to say.
All right, Stan.
I'm just gonna say this, SJ. You and your wife don't be having no babies. Your son, little tiny baby brother.
I'm cut. I got cut. So, like, it ain't happening.
Don't say you got the snip snaps. That's what
I sure did. Yep.
Okay.
I am cut.
Damn.
Woo. All right. Yeah, I'm just gonna say this: like, everything happens for a reason. There was this. I think her name is Breonna Brown, and she talked about, like, for certain people, and she talked about women, and what she said, like, there are some women meant to be mothers, some women meant to be aunties, and then some women, Danger Will Robinson, take the kids away from her. And that's the same thing for men, right? And there's, like, you got to understand, like, not everybody is meant to be a parent. And some people are, and they could be a parent through jobs, volunteer work, foster care, adoption, whatever, right? here it is, and here's the deal, right? If you didn't find it, it's okay, and you just move forward, move on. But again, I'm gonna say this: you gotta honor your singlehood, and your singlehood don't mean for you to be on your knees all the time, collecting, rub burns. So that's for men and women. Like, your singlehood is a purpose to it. So figure what that is and move forward. And if you find somebody and you guys want to build a family, have a plan, because you're older adults. You can do things that 20-year-olds couldn't do. You live a life. And now you want to build a life together. That's a lot stronger than having doubts and thinking like, hey, I could have been this and that. Well, you have 5 careers already at 40 something or 30 something. You have 5 solid careers already. So you found a boo or booette. Okay, build. Stop fooling around. No new strongholds. That's all I'm gonna say. No more new strongholds. And that's Jay. No new babies for your son.
Hell nah. we done with that. Nah, just man, going back to the video, man. I think they had a good discussion. I ain't gonna lie, man. It's pretty interesting podcast. My biggest thing with females is just like, man, you got to pick up your poison, man. Like, if you want to be independent, that's fine, man. Like, definitely, I'm a supporter of that. But it's like, man, you can't cherry pick the things that you like out of adulthood, And I think that's what they tend to do a lot of times. They want. It's not even equality, because it's like, man, you want an advantage on stuff. And it's just like, man, you want somebody to kind of fund just your lifestyle, but don't tell you anything what to do with their money that they're funding your lifestyle with, which is the craziest shit. That'd be like if, women had to pay for guys, say like the world just flipped into the bizarro world and you guys had to go out here and pay for guys. And then we're coming at y'all like, y'all don't have no input on that, y'all controlling if you tell us what to do with your money. Y'all wouldn't be having it. Come on, man. Like, it's just the craziest stuff. So yeah, I just think people need to sit down and honestly like think this shit out that they're saying and what they're asking for, because it's like a contradiction. And it's like, if y'all can't even put these thoughts together, what you want, like, oh, I want the boss chick lifestyle, but I also want a sugar daddy, but I don't want him to live with me. It's like, man, if you're that confused in your own head and we have to sit here and listen to y'all, y'all can't blame us for not wanting to fuck with y'all. Like, if we see this confusion up front, we go on a date and we're asking questions and you're saying stuff like this and we're like, oh, hell no, I'm out of here. They be like, oh, why did he ghost me? Like, why not? Like, who the hell is gonna stick around for some shit like that? Like, we got all this stuff going on in our regular life, work, all these other pressures, and then all of a sudden we go on a date with y'all say some crazy shit like this. You think a guy gonna stick around? So yeah, man, it's just
that said yes. I want to meet that man that actually fulfilled this.
Ain't no guy fulfilling this. That's what I'm saying, man. Like, we're seeing it more and more where they're just like, they're struggling, and it's just like the answer's right in front of you, and they're just lost still, and it's just it's sad. But I just think, man, women, start listening to some of these podcasts. I know it triggers y'all, but with men, but man, to just take the feedback and be like, damn, okay, you know what? We do sound like this. There's a pattern. There's enough guys saying this. There's some consistency in these messages where, maybe we do got to work on certain things and shit, But all right, y'all, man, we're gonna shut this down. All right, keep tuning in. Peace.